Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the first news from today's newspaper. Dawn. Opposition parties propagating Indian agenda. Prime Minister asks opposition for proof if polls were rigged. Launches four mega projects in Chakwal by Nabil Anwar Dakku. Chakwal. Lashing out at the opposition parties, the Prime Minister Imran Khan has accused the Pakistan Democratic Movement (PDM) of propagating Indian agenda by launching a malicious campaign against the Pakistan Army. Addressing a ceremony here on Saturday, he said that this was for the first time that Pakistan's opposition was targeting the army in this way. General Musharraf used to be criticized because he had assumed a political role after becoming the head of the country. But I am sorry to say that the language being used in criticizing the army these days is the same which is being used by the propaganda machine of India, Mr. Khan said. Referring to a recent report released by the Brussels based European Union, Disinfolab, the Prime Minister said that India was using as many 700 websites and fake newspapers only to tarnish the image of Pakistan and its army by painting Pakistan as an unstable country and its army as a rogue army so that foreign investors refrained from investing in Pakistan. Pak Army is particularly targeted because it is India's long-standing desire to weaken our army. He said these fake websites were also promoting the narrative of the PDM, and there were many journalists who are part of this disinformation campaign. The Army and ISI chiefs are being criticized on the pretext that they got the previous elections rigged and managed to bring a selected government. The Prime Minister said and asked the opposition leaders if the elections were rigged, why didn't you go to Election Commission of Pakistan, Supreme Court and the Parliament to present any proof? He said the nation knew that the PGM leaders had been looting the country for the last 30 years. Articles on the corruption have been published in leading foreign newspapers like Times, New York Times, and Daily Mail. BBC has aired two documentaries on the loot and plunder by Nawaz Sharif and Asif Ali Zardari. The Prime Minister said in the past, Mr. Sharif had put Mr. Zardari behind bars on corruption charges, and the governments of the PPP and the PMLN were ousted twice due to corruption charges. Today, the country needs a strong army because during the last 73 years, there had not been such a worst government in India. A government that is totalitarian, racist, anti-Muslim, anti-Islam, and anti-Pakistan. Look at what it is doing in Kashmir, Mr. Khan said. During such a critical time, the PDM has launched an attack on our own army, asking it to oust an elected government. He said, if the army chief does not do so, they are urging the army to oust him. The Prime Minister said that the PDM leaders were launching such a malicious tirade against the army only to get an NRO so that their corruption of 30 years could be forgiven. They know that they cannot blackmail me, and that is why they want to get an NRO by putting pressure on the institutions, he said and added. Anyone who gives the NRO to these thieves will commit treason. Mr. Khan said retired General Musharraf gave an NRO to Mr. Sharif and Mr. Zardari, and as a result, Pakistan's debt increased by 4 times in 10 years. In my meeting with parliamentarians of Chakwal, they demanded roads and other uplift projects. I want to tell you that rupees 4,000 billion was allocated in tax revenue during the first year of government, but we had to repay rupees 2,000 billion as installments of foreign loan heaped upon us by them, PMLN and PPP. In the second year, we had to repay rupees 2,700 billion as loan installments since the markup had increased. In this way, we lose the money which is supposed to be spent on the people, he said. About his future vision, the Prime Minister claimed that during its 5 year tenure, the government would reduce the external and domestic deficit of the country by wealth creation. To make the life of common man better, education and health would be our top priorities. We are introducing a revolutionary local bodies system, he said, and added that the he has a SARS program launched by his government had been acknowledged as a revolutionary program by the world. We are launching another program to ensure that no one in the country sleeps hungry, he said. Projects launched. Earlier, the Premier launched 4 mega projects of Archipel, including a university, a 500-bed hospital, a northern bypass, and a center of excellence. These projects would be completed at the cost of rupees 15 billion. In the end, the formal request, please, if you have not yet, kindly subscribe our channel and press the bell button to get the fresh from us. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time. Goodbye.